Hello, everyone. Welcome to this quick talk, quick discussion, whatever you want to call it, about how to become who you need. This is the problem I see out in the world that people are missing. That is a quick, easy fix, but I see people's brains complicating it, making it sound harder and more confusing than it needs to be. So I want to just really simply spell it out today because this is the work I brought myself through and the work I want to offer to anyone who needs it. So we're going to go through how you know if you're the person you need or not, the problem when you're not the person you need, and then what you actually need to become who you need, what you need to be doing, all of that. So before we start, I want to tell a quick story about a book that showed me this problem, right? For so long, up until my mid to late 20s, I, like most people, thought that people outside of me, the things happening, the jobs, the amount of money I had caused my feelings, right? Just a song, hey, hurt their feelings. It's drilled in our head that things outside of us are responsible for our feelings. And in a book that showed me this wasn't true, this wasn't factual, this was a thought error, a mistake that we're collectively making as a society. And we don't need everyone to agree to stop doing it before we can stop doing it. And I shit you not, I read that 2 or 3 days, and I had this like euphoric and experience that lasted like a week. It did wear off because I was like, oh, well, I'm still in the life I had created when I thought my thoughts didn't create my feelings, everything else did. But for that week, I was just all the anxiety, all the fear in my life, all the things I was rushing to fix or solve or get to make me feel better. I just didn't need any of it anymore. And I felt so good. I felt so peaceful. I felt so full and giving. I was doing things like making meals for my roommates. Like, are you hungry? I would love to cook. Like, I've never done that. I was cleaning my house. I was like going for these walks, and I cried on a walk, a dog walk. It was like a sunny day, and I was just like so happy. It was a very much like a spiritual awakening that I had been searching for. And it's all because I realized I could become the person I needed. So that enlightened stage wore off. And I woke back up to the life I had created with my current results that my old thoughts had created for me. So I had some work to do, right? It wasn't like a one and done, now you feel good the rest of your life. You kind of have to now play to who she is she do. Her we re fit that version of you, this old wounded version that society told you, you don't control anything, you're powerless, you're helpless. So I I got to work. I did this thought work. I did this embodiment work, which we're going to talk about today. I became who I needed. It was terrifying. It was exhilarating. It's thrilling. I'm still on the journey. I make it sound like I'm not, but I reached a level where I no longer going back into answers outside of me, saviors outside, right? I ended up ending a relationship because when after I had been making that person, that sweet, innocent person, responsible for all of my needs. I put the weight of the world on them, and it wasn't their responsibility. And I did a lot of healing work with that one relationship. And I took all the information from it and I applied it to my life. Okay, I wanted them to do this, this, and this. This is how I wanted them to treat me, to talk to me. This is how I wanted them to meet me. I have to be able and be willing to do all of that for myself before I go try to find a new partner. And I did. So depending on like your relation status, that's not the only way to do it, right? You can do it with a job. Sometimes we think a job will save us and will meet all of our security, the illusion of a security of a job. We'll meet our needs and then we'll be safe, right? We won't have to deal with things anymore. But no, what happens is life still happens. Unexpected things happen, scary things happen, fear comes up. We still have to be able to be that for ourselves if that job disappears. We can't put all of our needs, all of our eggs in one basket outside of us. We need to collect them all, put them all within us, find that resourcefulness within, that wisdom within, that connection within, because that is what we're all desperately searching for in all the wrong places. So I hope that makes sense with what I mean by this. A little disclaimer, I sent it out in my email about this class, but I am going to talk a lot about you meeting your needs. And so I want a disclaimer here saying, obviously, we need other people. We love our relationships, but they are not the end all be all. They are the dessert of our life. Our relationship to ourself is the main course, and they cannot be responsible for meeting our needs. They are just a lovely added bonus who adds love to our life. It's an opportunity to give love, right? We're not in relationships expecting shit from them. That's not their job. That's going to leave you in so much unnecessary pain. So we've got to start switching that. But I'm also not saying do everything alone, be alone, need nobody else, right? We need connection. We need support. We need community. So much so, I believe that. But a stronger community comes with strong individuals who aren't leaking energy into places that it's none of their business. Okay. Oh, sorry, my dog's behind me. Okay. So if you're here watching this, I kind of know who you are because I was exactly where you were. Okay. So let me know if this describes you. You are a person with a giant heart. And what I mean by that is like you're forgive others to see in them they are, right? But you're the last person that for yourself with big give it out and you don't leave any for. And we were trained, socialized to believe that this is a noble thing, a good thing. This is supposed to be self-sacrifice. It's great. I'm not saying don't give love to others, but if you're giving love without filling yourself up, we need to go right back to giving love again, but we need to pull for a bit to give it to yourself. So I'm getting a little this is who you are. Cared so much about other people's thoughts, feelings, actions. You want to help them, you want to give to them, you want to see them thrive, but you're not turning that energy towards yourself and your own authority. So you'll let the love if it's coming from someone else. You don't trust yourself if you tell yourself, I'm proud of you. I'm so believe in your, when it goes to someone else, it's filled with energy, heart. But because you don't trust your authority, this is stemming from not learning how to meet your own needs as a kid, right? We're going to talk in a bit about how to meet your own needs, but a big part of that is regulating emotions. And when children aren't taught how to successfully regulate emotions, be independent, be their own authority, manage their thoughts carefully and inquisitively, it creates insecurity. So this is nothing personal, y'all. This is a reflection of our conditioning and our society and our systems. Since the authority is in the hierarchy, and who's at the top of that hierarchy, y'all? A white man. So this is been facts of our systems and how they're impacting our social, cognitive insecurity. It's good to know where we're starting to where we want to go next. This insecure place without trusting yourself, without feeling like the authority in your life, you're looking for people outside of you. You're looking for that amount of money, for that job, for that will come when you will drop. Still got all here, all these ideas. I want to help people. I want to serve a community. Oh, the goodness. You're not connecting it, your action, because insecurity won't get you there. Insecurity is an emotion that's going to hold you afraid and fueling your belief in authority. You don't. So something needs to change. I'm going to talk about. So when you have all these ideas, but there's that disconnect there, it's not because something's wrong with you. It's not because you can't bring, absolutely can. It's because when that's the fuel motivating you, it's just not going to bring to life that vision you have. It's going to find evidence for your insecurity. And this leaves you stuck. So you'll like maybe try something, you'll maybe try to start the engine and then, oh, it just dies. You don't change. And then this frustrates you. You're like, why am I still stuck? Why am I not changing even after all this time? You're not crazy for thinking that. Because even though, like, this was me, I graduated college. I'm like, I have a bachelor in science. I'm a very intellectual, intelligent person. Why am I so miserable? Why am I so like deaf? I don't know why. It doesn't matter the amount of research I did, the attempts I made to change, the plans I would create, get my would never work. I was still, I learned how to become who I needed. And so this is where we're starting. This is where I started, and where you're probably starting if you're watching this. And so this is okay. This is a great starting point. Nothing has gone wrong. It takes a lot of awareness over all this stuff to move forward from it. And that's what I'm here to give people, okay? For free and in my program. Okay. This it's very simple. One sentence. You haven't learned how to become who you need. Okay. What you've been thinking the problem is circumstantial or a lack of something inside of you. This is not the problem. The problem is not I have this job, I'm stuck here, this happened in my past, so I can't. I got to go back to therapy and unpack it for 10 years. That's not the problem. The problem is you haven't built this skill, this understanding of becoming who you need. It's also not because something's cracked and broken and unfixable inside of you. Anyone can do this. I was the most filled, unworthy, undeserving feeling person in the world. I promise you, if I can make it back from that depression, that lack of self-worth, that lack of self-trust, that deep, deep, deep insecurity, anyone can. Okay. I promise you, there's no such thing as something missing inside of you. Like you don't have what it takes. You do. You just need to learn how to become who you need. And so when you haven't learned how to do that, your problem extends outward, right? You start to outsource your responsibility for how you think and feel, the actions you take. You want to outsource it. If it's their responsibility, they can take the downfall if it fails, right? If they're the one barking out the orders, I can just follow and not have any responsibility for how it plays out. There's an advantage to this, and a reason your brain chooses it is because if you don't have to take responsibility, then you don't have to manage your emotions. You don't have to feel what comes up. You don't have to make decisions. You don't have to be an emotional adult. You get to keep being a child in an adult body. That's the exchange. It's not a good deal. Deal or no deal, this is a no deal. Okay. And it's outsourcing your control. It's got these blinders on you that are turning the world upside down, making you think things outside of you control everything you can do, create, feel, have, when really it's the opposite. We got to take them off. We got to see, oh shit, I control everything in my life. Warning, when you correct the ship, it ignites weren't taught this as a child, you have a couple if you knew this ahead of time. Okay, that's why we got people all on all stages of this growth and be like, yep, that's normal. That's totally normal too. Yep, yep, yep. You're going to feel all that and all of that. It's going to be, it's going to be sad. The problem remains the same. You're outsourcing responsibility for how you think, feel, show up, create in your life. The responsibility. The second you're not a child living with mommy and daddy anymore, it's your. People don't love this part. It's the most tricky. The part I've trained, run toward it. We don't want to be avoiding triggers our own lives. We want to go right to that. We can manage that. The minute it's our responsibility, we have all the control in the world. This is so incredible to feel that. Okay, other problem when you haven't learned how to become a lead, reflect what other people have this life. So you don't trust yourself to follow what you're just starting to live in alignment with what you think you should want, which is the most bogus bullshit way to live. Because only you know what's right for you. Only you know your values. Whether you lie to yourself and tell them, oh, no, Dad, I do want that. That is what I really want. Your body will tell you lying to yourself or not. If you feel stressed, if you feel anxious, if you feel impatient, probably values aren't in alignment with you, because the more you look at what your values are, and I would sit down with yourself, what are my values? What do I prioritize? And how is that reflected in my day-to-day life? You want to find any discrepancies there. You feel better the closer you get to living in alignment with your values. I knew for me, when I even imagined starting a like corporate career after, my body was just like, I love my body so much. It was just like panic shut down, the worst feeling. But then when I imagined like taking a different route, it was like exciting. It felt better. It felt more motivating, more energetic. And so you literally got to use your body as a gauge, you guys. We're not all supposed to do the same shit in the same order by the same time. That is a lie, a capitalist lie, a patriarchal lie, a racist lie. Y'all, we got to get out of this colonized mindset. It's not serving us. It's not serving the keeping you from offering what you can contribute to this world. I promise you, for the things standing in your way that need to be corrected, if you really want to unleash your heart to the world, you have to go straight toward what your unique contribution. You have to be willing. It can't be that instant gratification, trying to cut corners and get there quick. And do it, unleashing your contribution to the world, because we all have one. We're just conditioned to follow a path that's not in alignment with. So a lot of people are they and again like in this country is shit. All right. So I want to pull your brain out here, because it took me doing all this research on my own to find these answers. I would have loved if someone came up to me and just said, "Hey, this is what you're thinking, and you're wrong," right? In a loving way, right? Not a judgmental way. But I had to go find those answers myself, because what was actually happening was everyone else around me was doing the same shit and encouraging me to keep doing it that way. And that was not helpful. So I want to be that person that has a dissenting voice that says, nope, you're thinking about this wrong. That's okay. It's not a reflection of you. But if you want change, you've got to look at this differently. So, what you think you need, right? When we're talking about becoming who you need, what most of our brains are thinking we need all the time from other people is approval right? Their attention, their approval, their validation. They're like, yep, you have permission to exist today. Yep, you have permission to be a human. And also for them to come in and solve all of our needs. I'm not kidding with this savior concept, like especially if you're raised in religion, especially Christian religion in this country, we're literally taught to think we can't be who we need because we're flawed and broken. Like it's kind of fucked up if you really unpack it. And then a savior outside of us comes and saves us. So we're just perpetually waiting, not living in our power, not living in alignment, not contributing in a powerful way. We're waiting for these things, but we'll never get enough of them to fill that void of how we need to do that for ourselves. Does that make sense? So even if someone's there all day long saying, I approve of you, you have permission to be great today. I love and appreciate you. You are amazing. It won't fill the void of needing you to be that foundation, that authority in yourself, right? And so again, it doesn't matter which way you go. Like I need people to approve of me, or I need people to not dislike me. This was mine, was like I cared a lot less about them being like, you're great. I cared so much more about preventing them saying, you're wrong. You did that wrong. You hurt my feelings. That to me was like a death sentence. And so that's what I was looking for in that form of approval, was like, tell me I didn't hurt your feelings and I'm okay. It's not like I was trying to impress them. It's not like I was looking for like praise from them. In fact, I don't really like that. I felt uncomfortable with that. It was, am I being okay? Am I doing this right? Am I like, it was just the most, I'm going to use the word pathetic, but it kind of is a very sad way of existing to manage other people's perception of me, or rather have them manage my perception of me for me, because I'm too insecure to decide for myself and believe in my authority of my decision and back it up with action. So this is a heavy, heavy concept, so much more intense than we can cover in the 30 minutes I've got today. But I want you to start thinking about it if this is you, whether you're looking for someone to say you're good, you're great, or you're trying to prevent someone saying you're wrong, you're bad. It's the same thing. You're on the same spectrum. It doesn't matter. You're literally looking for permission from others to be like, okay, I'm okay. We want to stop doing that because that doesn't serve us. And it's not that other, like that is all subjective. It's not that other person's job to give us that permission to like ourselves, to accept ourselves. Even if they said the words we're looking them for, we would still feel empty because that's not where that shit comes from. We need to build that authority within. Okay, the other thing we think we need a lot of the times is for reality to match up with all of our expectations. We need reality to go perfectly. And so before we'll make a move, before we're willing to change, we need our reality to change to fit our perfect expectations. And since reality is never going to do that, I promise you, until the day you die, it's never going to do that. You keep using it as an excuse to not change you. You keep waiting for circumstances to change before you'll change. But those circumstances are never going to change until you change. This is the irony. This is the paradox of people staying stuck, is they really, really think if reality just bends to my willpower, then suddenly something will click and I won't have to solve any more of my problems anymore. You're always going to have problems. You're always going to have negative emotion. You're always going to have bits and pieces of reality that don't go your way. And so it's so much better to stop waiting for reality to serve you and your needs, because that's not reality, what reality's for. It's better to learn how to serve your own in any given reality, in any uncertainty. That is what creates what you're looking for. Another thing you think you need to know how everything will go before you'll start, right? I need to know the outcome, what's going to happen at the beginning, middle, end. Do I win? Do I lose? I'm not budging until you tell me exactly how this goes. This motivation, this desire to know how, comes from fear. And the fear comes from your insecurity, because you're not trusting that you'll have your back unless you know what's going to happen ahead of time, because you're afraid if something pops up, something unexpected pops up that you weren't planning on, you're going to beat yourself up. Because that's what insecure people do. They're harsh. They shame and judge themselves. They eviscerate themselves mentally. They tear themselves apart. This is what I did, right? So that desire of needing to know how things will go, it's not because you actually want to know how things are go. It's because you're having this battle with yourself. Okay, am I going to be nice to myself no matter what happens? When you're insecure, the answer is no. You haven't practiced a new way of being. You haven't decided how you're going to treat yourself ahead of time. In order to make that decision, you have to be reversing a lot of these things. You got to be doing the work to reverse it. And so that desire of knowing how it's going to go, that all falls away the minute you handle your insecurity, the minute you become more trusting of yourself, and you know how you've built enough of a pattern of how you'll treat yourself in a way that's not destructive, that's not harmful to your emotions, to your well-being. Okay. Another thing people think need is to feel happy and good all the time. This is a fallacy. In fact, 50% of the time you'll feel positive emotion. The other 50% of your life is going to be negative. Okay. And so when we think one of our needs is we're supposed to be happy, and then half the time we're not, we're suffering. We're looking at our negative emotion like it's a problem. We're blaming ourselves. See, I knew something was wrong with you. Look at how negative you are. You're supposed to be happy. What's wrong with you? That's the voice of shame. And so we don't need to be happy all the time. In fact, this is so much of the work I do with first-time clients, first time to life coaching, not much experience with this work. Our only focus is handling this first. Is literally like when you're not feeling good and happy, we're just not going to shame yourself. We're just not going to judge yourself for that. We're just going to allow you to not feel good and it not be a problem. The only problems that happen with negative emotion is when you shame and judge them and think they shouldn't be there. Otherwise, they're just there and it's not a problem. But that added layer of suffering, of judgment, makes us feel very confused about what we need and why. If you really ask yourself, why do I think I need to be happy all the time? The answer is probably because we live in a toxic positivity bypassing culture that's very fake and pretentious. I'm going to just say it like it is today. I don't give a fuck. We're fed the idea, like the churchy ideal of like, oh, just be positive, good vibes, right? When people are suffering, and sometimes it's just okay to be like, wow, it's scary to feel this way. It's hard to feel this way. This is what it's like to feel this way without, oh, but look on the bright side. Oh, but feel better. Oh, I'm so sorry you feel. No, don't feel sorry for people for being human. Don't ask them what's wrong, right? When they feel bad. Nothing's wrong. They're fucking human. We have the full spectrum of human emotions. We're not supposed to be happy, good all the time. This will cause you so much misery. Ironically, isn't that funny? Isn't it funny how miserable you are when you're trying to be happy all the time? I tell you what, I allow myself to feel any negative emotion I have. I love it. I honor it. I validate it. I give space to it. I don't try to change it. I listen to it. I glean the wisdom from it. And I've never been happier in my life. And I'm an entrepreneur, so that shit brings up a lot of negative emotion. You got to be a badass to do that. Finally, this was a kind of a funny rhyming thing. We think we need to change our medication, to change our location, to change our vocation, or to change our relations when we're confused about our needs, when we're placing that responsibility outside of us. People do this all the time. They'll change where they live and hope this will meet all my needs. No, you're the only one who can do that. People go to and I don't mean like diabetes or, real ill, but I'm talking about mental illness is not an illness, my friends. Allopathic thinking does not fit in a mental and emotional paradigm. There is no normal, which is what allopathic thinking is based off of in medicine, which it works there. But in mental health, there's no normal, my friends. And so your medication for your brain, this is my opinion, right? It doesn't need to be changed. You don't need more. You don't need to work with those chemicals. You just need to become who you need. What if it was that simple? That might be a controversial statement, but a lot of my clients come to me saying, and I myself, I could have been prescribed all the antidepressants because I was a depressed ass girl and I didn't take them. Same with anxiety, right? I could have had all the things, all the diagnoses, but I didn't choose medication. I chose becoming who I needed. Your job, your vocation. We think we need to change this. Maybe this will solve it. Maybe the next job will solve it. Maybe I'll like myself there. Maybe I'll change the way I think and feel there. Nope. You're going to get to a new job, a new place, a new relationship, and be the same damn person you are with the same damn problems, the same damn insecurity, because this is not what you need. You don't need to change these things. You need to become who you need. Okay, so let's talk about that. Oh, I have a stuffy nose. I don't like it. Okay, what you actually need is a better relationship with yourself. This I'm going to talk about on the next piece of paper, but I want to jam out on this for a bit. Okay, because think if it's two people, which when I'm with my clients one-on-one, I literally ask them to like separate themselves imaginatively into two people. If they were having a conversation, a back and forth, has to do how we speak, have about them, which is different from how we're speaking to them. What's your opinion of you versus how do you talk to you on a day-to-day basis? There's your dominant feelings in that relationship. Like, how do you feel with just you? Are you constantly avoiding you? Enjoy spending with you? Like, do you feel you, or do you feel shame and insecurity and frustration and hopelessness? Like, we need to know how you feel in your relationship with you because it's a whole ass relationship. And compare that with a you love in your life and just look at that. Curious, right? Reflection of you. This is a reflection of environment, how you were and can taught didn't teach you, right? Not personal, it's okay. Then there's how you treat yourself. Man, for me, I treat myself real bad, right? I used to ignore the shit out of myself and then just chug out to get away from me. I hated it. I hated me. I used to put myself in sketchy ass situations. I used to just not want to be with me anymore. I was like, can we leave? I don't like you, right? I've been there. How you treat yourself and what you give to yourself is part of the relationship. Do you think about you in a broader term? For me, what works for me now, I'm always thinking about myself tomorrow, next week, next year, 20 years from now. I'm thinking of her. And I've learned to love me so much that I now love this made up future version of me so much. It makes me to show I set myself up for absolute. Oh my mind. I'm chasing my future self and my past self now. It used to be from everyone all around me and making sure everyone was good. Now I say, fuck them. I only care about these three bitches, future, now, past. They're my life. They're my world. They're all we've got is your relationship with you. So how is it? Is it going good? Do you guys like each other? We've got to get that relationship in order if you want to have feelings, right? To have what you want, to feel good about it, to feel a contribution, you've got to give that contribution to yourself first. You'll learn so much from that work. So, but how who you need, this is how to become who you need. And put it in this order for a reason. And each one of these stages, I want you to think of it like there's no rush to getting through these steps. We could take all of our time right here. We're just chilling, getting to know ourselves, starting to be real with ourselves, not pretending anymore. We're chasing a savior outside of us. We're just like, whoa, it's just us, isn't it? Well, let's get to know each other. So we want to take our time. The first step is to understand yourself, your person, your identity, who you are today. And a lot of that comes with unshaming your past. How you learn to shame yourself, we've got to undo that. Okay. That's a twofold, right? The voice of shame is not yours. It's a third party, the child, when someone witnessed it and didn't say anything. We internalize a message and something's wrong with me because they would have understood. As children, I don't expect children to be these adults who meet their children have emotional needs that are almost more important than our physical needs. I'm not kidding. Okay. And when they're not internal with it, no, never too late to do that. It's not too hard to do that, but it takes a lot of digging and just unshaming comes forgive in a processing, a journaling about forgive, just allowing innocent human did what she had to do and just loving her in that place without thinking anything should be different, right? I don't usually use this term with my clients. I call it something a little different, but it's essentially what it is. We have a criminal and that's that inner child. And they're feisty, right? And they're at every age. You've got an inner 3-year-old that all have opinions. How you handle your inner child was a reflection of how your parents handled your tantrum as a child, right? The problem is the parenting back then wasn't top notch. It was slightly better than the boomers for sure, but by far not there yet, right? Not emotionally adept, not there. Okay. So uh, running back to the past to solve our problems there, just noticing we redecide how to handle that tantrum and become that handles it differently. And brain, let's say it's an influence or you're angry, you're yelling at someone, and you're gonna shame yourself. That's what they did, right? Punish yourself. You're gonna want to dismiss and invalidate. You're crazy, drunk, or wrong with you? Why do you always, oh, you're so dramatic. You're too much, right? That's what you're going to want to do to parent the way you treat yourself in those emotional, big reactive moments where we need love. Change that. It's like, what are you feeling? Oh, that makes sense. Like it makes sense why you're feeling that. That's scary or that's hard or whatever. And getting curious, why are you feeling this way? What are you thinking? Okay, well, do you want to talk about it? Right? Like it's the easiest way to like replicate a coaching dynamic, which I don't talk like that on my coaching calls. I'm just kind of using it as if I was talking to a little child right now. But yeah, so it's going to be a change of behavior in how you used to react to yourself, which was based on how your parents reacted to you, and shifting how you love. If it was your child, if it was someone you love, what would you say to them? You've got to do that for yourself. This is what we actually need to become who we need. These three are huge. I could just stop right there. That would be enough. You'd everything for the rest of your life because you know how to forgive yourself. You know how to manage yourself in a loving, understanding, compassionate way instead of a punishing, judgmental way. You wouldn't, right? You'd be so good. But we've also got the nervous system here, and we weren't taught how to do it. So emotions are the same thing. They're all connected. So your body is where your emotions live, and your nervous system is that, right? It's in your nervous system, being awareness of what it does, why it's doing it, how it's not a problem when your nervous system is dysregulated. The awareness, the education needs to come, and then learning how to actually regulate it. And so things, I can't give you a mini course on nervous system. If you want to learn more about that, you got to work with me. Go find another coach that offers that work. But regulating emotion after you have the awareness comes with stuff like a daily walk outside. This is how we get ahead of it. Comes with stuff like meditation, breath work, movement, not exercise to punish yourself because you hate your body because you're socialized as a woman who thinks they're on how. No, that's not the same thing as move to your emotions. It's good journaling, processions, release like making it in your body. It's gonna we have to actually communicate our needs in times of conflict and be in our business. That's a big part of regular is no longer being and leaving them, saying goodbye, farewell. Now I only think about my emotions. That's sometimes the hardest part. You know, enmeshed with the people we want to regulate instead of regulating ourselves. So yeah, that's where I'll leave that. And finally, work the emotions first because until you process out and are willing to feel the emotions you're having now, which are usually in excess of negative emotions, there's no budge in your thoughts. There's no accessing those beliefs that have them latched in there. You've got to make space for a new perspective to even come in. Make space. Willing to have fun with the thoughts. Then it's so fun and so easy to play around. Try to jump to this step first. That's why it doesn't work, right? You're skipping the most important parts for your relationship to yourself or meeting your needs. They're just trying to swap words in their brain, and that's never going to work. That's not how thought work is. If anyone has convinced you of that, that you just say affirmations and if you just repeat it again and again, it's not how it works. Come work with a professional because otherwise you're keep skipping all the steps that are important and going straight to this. We're going to work without all of this. This is such a fun level to be at, though. Honestly, like in one session, we get through like all of this in like 20 minutes. The better you get. When you really, really good here, you're like, I got this. I know how to regulate. I know how to redirect my brain, my focus, my energy. Then from that set up place, I'm starting to trust myself. I feel like an authority for my decisions. Then we can set goals from a place of possibility. Goals can be triggering for insecure people who haven't been taught how to meet their needs because they've used goals as a way to punish themselves, as a way to beat themselves up. And so we don't want to do the goal stuff. Like that's not the motive, that's not the purpose. It's not to get to a goal. It's not why we do this. That's cool, but it's not the purpose. We want to do all this first and then from possibility, not shame, have fun of what could I do now that I like have my back, now that I trust myself, what would excite me, what's in alignment with my values, where would I love to go, and I want to give it to myself just because I delight in loving me. That is the highest level of meeting your needs, is delighting in giving yourself beautiful things, right? Like I was got to this point at my old day job, and I would have been, but then I said, what do you want? Right? Where do you want to go? What do you want to see? What do you want to do? And I decided, you know what would be cool if I just like worked from home with my dog, right? And then like again, if I was up here saying I want to work from home with my dog, oh my God, no. I would have just died of insecurity and never moved forward, stayed stuck. So then after I'd done all of that, then it became like a fun game. I'm like, oh, this is adventurous. This is going to be hard. Totally. It's going to be a little uncomfortable, but I'm willing to do it because I have my back. Do you see the difference? Do you feel the difference? And finally, the goal setting is one thing, deciding I want to work from home with my dog. But then the taking action is where it gets real. The action is how you learn to manage your brain. If you're not regularly taking action toward a goal, you don't have opportunities to manage your brain because nothing's happening. You're not doing anything different. You're waking up and it's Groundhog Day. So the goal puts you into a GPS in the future that you want to get to, and start taking action. Messy action, wrong action, mistakes, failures, because every step along the road, no matter what happens, no matter what comes up, no matter what problems arise, what happens in reality, you can manage your brain. And that's how you master it. And that's how you master your relationship with yourself. That is how we make this world better. How no matter what your contribution is, it might just be that you're a regulated emotional person. That is a huge contribution to the world. That's enough. That's all we need right now is people a little less focused on outsourcing all of their power and feeling so afraid and so insecure and attacking each other and being miserable. This enough is a contribution, right? I don't ask any more of me than this. I'm like, honey, you've already done it. You've done so much. See, I call myself honey. That's huge for me. I used to fucking hate myself. Okay. So the last thing I have to offer for you guys today is that if you want to learn how to do this, my program teaches you all of those steps, how to unshame yourself, forgive yourself. We do all of that lesson and then one-on-one program. It's 24 weeks. I have like 7 consults on the books right now, and I only have about 8 spots open. So that's the math of my current situation. Now, they might not all become clients, so you never know, but I would say shit's rolling in for me. If you've been wanting to do this, now is the time. Go grab a spot on my consult. I want to show you this will be the most valuable, impactful thing you can do with your time, with your money, with your focus, with your energy. I promise you, you are who you've been looking for. You are who you need. You have everything you need inside of you right now to give yourself what you want. Take yourself there. I wrote down, have fun and look good while you do it, because we be out here crushing it. So go to aliciaturnercoaching.com if you want to grab one of those free consult slots, and let's do this. I'm excited to help y'all. It fuels me. It brings me so much joy to see people shift out of that internalized insecurity and shame into knowing who the fuck they are, remembering where their power is, and loving themselves, because that's what you deserve. And that is all you need is your support, your approval, and love, genuine love coming from you. So you guys have a beautiful day. I'll see you next time.